Hi everyone, welcome to tonight's live session where we are going live on the 7-day challenge. And the word challenge is correct because it's been a challenge. My laptop has let's turn that down. My laptop decided to die 3 times, and so that's knocked me off schedule already. But we're here now, and today we're looking at empowerment. So if you didn't get a chance to look at the video yesterday, or get the information about what I'm doing, I shall give you a bit of a brief idea. So I decided to do a 7-day challenge because I normally record the 30-day challenges and put them up on the YouTube page. And sometimes if you're not used to doing any kind of challenges, it can be a bit daunting signing up for 30 days. And I've got everything on there now if anybody wants to have an experience of that. So, and I'm also trying to find my page on the YouTube page here, so bear with me. Right, there it is. In case, and now if anybody wants to have, so let me turn that off. So, and I'm also trying to find my card. Right, so there I am. So I'm still struggling with the tech a little bit, and but if anyone's watching and wants to say hi, then do. So let's start again. It's taken me about 7 minutes. The laptop has rebooted several times, and so what I was let's go back to the beginning, was doing was saying yesterday that I'd spent over 25 years helping people with resilience and empowerment, and therapy rooms in the festivals and in the workshops that I've been delivering. And what I've seen again and again is change doesn't have to be dramatic. It starts with one simple shift repeated daily. And when we do something daily, regardless of how small it might look that we're doing, we build up some momentum, we create new neural pathways, and there's more likelihood that the more that we continue that for, it becomes a habit like all our other habits. Because our habits are just behaviors that we have constantly practiced. And there's lots of habits, if you think about them in your life at the moment, that you have, and you think about how did I actually create those habits. So every night this week at 8 o'clock, I'm going to focus on one small, powerful practice. And if you haven't got the workbook or the ebook with the affirmations in to guide you, you can contact me on mailgbb555@hotmail.com, and I will email that to you, because regardless of whether you're watching it live or the recordings, you'll still get the same benefit from that. And once you've done the 7 days, that leads nicely into doing the 30-day videos if you want. And you can go at level 1, and level 1 is it's got a lot of information in there that if you're kind of new to personal development or spiritual development, or any of the psychology around any of the topics that I talk about, has got more of that sort of developing your awareness level. And level 2 has got some more topics that go a bit deeper, and then level 3 is where we go really deep into some of the information that's out there on all these different aspects. I'm also releasing other videos that go into things on a much deeper level as well around these topics. But the 30-day program, if you look at the playlist, or you just like and subscribe and press the bell, you'll be able to get a notification every time that's released. I think it's released at midnight every day, so that anyone who's an early riser can set aside 5, 10, 15 minutes to doing this activity. Because what that does, it sort of tells the universe, I'm here, I'm immersing myself right now in this space, I'm creating a mindful space, I'm going to think about the topic that is in that video. So we're doing it live because I'm challenging myself to step outside of my comfort zone and set myself a challenge to do this for the 7 days. And after the 7 days, like I said, you can go right in and watch the 30 days. And You don't have to, you can start at day one, because there's no overlap. These topics that I'm covering here are completely separate from the 30 day. And this is an introduction at anybody, whether or not you're new to any of my work, or you've done it and you just haven't managed to get onto the 30 days. So I've had issues with the laptop and I've got issues with the tarot cards. So let's see how this goes. We just have to ride the wave of stuff happens. So today we're looking at the foundation of empowerment. So if you've got a journal, get your pen out and your journal and turn off all distractions, put your phone to one side, because we have to teach the brain sometimes, if we're used to constantly getting those dopamine hits from scrolling, watching the TV and having all that noise and activity, we need to teach the mind and body actually that we can be still and we can give ourselves this time and attention. So regardless of whether you're watching this live or you're listening to the playback, you really want to create that space for yourself. Not everybody has time in the morning, so sometimes we have it late in the evening, and that's why I decided to do it at 8. Right, so the card that I needed to go with this has disappeared. Some of these cards have just jumped out this pack, and I don't know where they are. I'm going to have to count how many that I've got in there. So, and then after the 7 days, which finishes on the Sunday, and I'll go over the topics at the end of tonight's session, so you know what to look forward to. There's a couple of days free, and then I start posting videos in relation to the next venture that I've got coming up under the new project I've got, which is changing spaces through the lens. And I've just done a couple of videos about the next trip and about why it's called Changing Spaces Through the Lens. So, okay, let's crack on with tonight. So, what I often do when I'm doing the 30-day program is there'll be a topic, a tarot card, some explanation of what that topic is, and also some journal prompts. So, I've got to check whether or not I can actually copy and paste the journal prompts under the live videos. But if not, stop the video and just write down the journal prompts and then think about at least one of them. And if you manage to do all of them and get some insight from that, then great. So, let's begin, as we say. So today we're looking at day one, the foundations of empowerment. And first of all, what I've done a lot in my clinical work is if you use a scale to measure where you are right now, and I'm going to do this with every topic every day for the next 7 days, is I want you to ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, if 10 is not at all and 10 is completely, no, 1 is not at all and 10 is completely, I want you to ask how confident you feel in your ability to make choices that are right for you. So I feel confident in my ability to make choices that are right for me. So rate yourself on that scale 1 to 10. So 1 is not confident at all and 10 is really confident. And sometimes there might be some choices that are really easy to make because you already know what your values are. You already know what's important to you. And, you know, you can just connect with that straight away. Other choices aren't always as easy to make. So, it's going to be one of those days, I can see. Right, so rate that. And like I said, I'm going to have a scale every day. So I'm just going through this, the new people as well that might be totally new to working with me, listening to any of my recordings. So when you rate yourself, that's a subjective rating of what you believe. You don't have to share that with anyone, but you just make a log of it. At the end of the 7 days, then rate yourself again on these topics. So go back to each day and then rate after thinking about it, whether or not there's more that you can do on that, because the journal prompts, the tarot card, which has the imagery and the colours all within there that are imbued in that, all support your consciousness to connect with this idea of creating this foundation for empowerment. And I also share a bit about where the research comes on that. So Foundations of empowerment is about having that ability to make choices that are right for you. And a bit of a broader definition to what that means is, so empowerment means realizing you have the ability to influence your own life, even in small ways. It's not about controlling everything. It's about recognizing the choices that you do have and stepping into them with awareness and confidence. So the core ideas are belief in agency. Empowerment brings with a knowing I can. When you trust you can take action, you can start shifting from feeling powerless to capable. So even when we're really struggling to manage a particular challenge, often if we think about what is it that I can influence in this situation, where have I got some power? And it might be that you haven't got the power to change the people around you or the situation, but you can have the power to change how you feel about it. So it really depends on what that is. And then think about the small steps that count. It's not about the huge leaps, it's about those tiny actions, sending a message, tidying a corner, making a decision, and building a sense of momentum. And I was talking to some clients a few months ago about one of the things that we really encourage if someone's really depressed and they're spending a lot of time in bed and really have just lost motivation to get out of bed. If you can get out and just make your bed and make that your challenge every day, just to do that, that in itself is success. And it can sound odd to a lot of people, but it's actually a really big shift. Because once you're up and moving about and the energy is moving through your body, it's much easier to then say, I'm going to get a shower, I'm going to have something to eat, or I'm going to go for a walk. But when you're in bed and you're feeling stuck and really depressed, if you can just say, no, I'm going to get out of bed, and as long as I make my bed, I have succeeded in this today. So these inner versus outer power, real empowerment isn't just about those external circumstances. It's about inner alignment. Am I listening to myself? Am I choosing what matters to me? And again, something that I teach clients is how to work out what matters to you is to do a values exercise. So if anyone wants the value sheet that I've got on that, you can email me, but you can go on Google and put in values exercise. And often you might get a whole list of words, about 76. And what you do is you circle all the ones that mean something to you. And then you decide when you've circled those words, which is the high importance, which is sort of important, and what isn't important. And then you should end up with about 10 to 15 values, and then you decide what's your top 10. And when you're aligned with your values, you can often feel happier in your relationships, in your work, and in other aspects of life. So it's really thinking about those things that are important to you. So when we're aligned with our values, then that means we're listening to ourselves about what truly matters. Sometimes those values can change. We have experiences, and sometimes we'll redefine those. And then the psychology research is Alberta Bandura called this self-efficacy, the belief in our ability to succeed in a specific situation. High self-efficacy fuels resilience, motivation, and growth. And what people can do is they can use a generalized way of thinking that will affect their self-esteem and self-efficacy. If they are making statements like, this always happens to me, this never goes right, when you use very general statements, what we've got to do is be able to pinpoint where things are working for us, where we're feeling resilient, where we're able to grow, and what aspects aren't working. And when we can sort of sift those two out, then we can start to look at, okay, what's one small tweak? So if it's a tweak around health, it may be that you just add 10 minutes walking every day. If it's a tweak around connection, it might be that you say, okay, who are the people I've not had much contact with in the last few months? Okay, I'm going to drop them a line. I'm going to ring them up. How are they doing? Just to make that connection. If it's work and it's around aspiration, then go online, set yourself a goal every day of going on the job websites and having a look at what's out there. So it can be really small steps, but you've got to make those a priority, because if you are struggling with your own sense of well-being, and you are experiencing more depression than usual, or it's been going on for a while, then that's telling you that something needs to shift that is impacting you. So, the affirmation for this is I am the author of my story. Okay. So, think about now the journal prompt is where in your life do you already feel strong and capable? And where would you like to feel more empowered? So, if you haven't had a chance to write that down, what you can do is you can go back to the replay and have a look at those questions. But think for the moment what the answers to one of those. Where do you already feel strong and empowered? So I'm just going to open up my document. So Bandura states that shows that believing you can influence your life is the first step to real change. When people feel empowered, they're more likely to take consistent action. So where do you already feel strong and capable? So rather than looking at the deficit, what's not there, already have a look at what resources and what's already there. And that can make a really big difference. Because if you're only looking at things through the lens of what's not working and what's going wrong, you're failing to see what aspects of life is already working for you. So the card that would go along with this is the Magician. And the Magician in tarot is it's a it's an aspect that we can connect with, and especially I'm going to draw up the Magician. Don't know what number it is in here actually. It's an aspect we can draw up, and actually the Magician has got all the tools we need, but often the Magician can turn things around. And so the Magician has skill, natural talents, powers of manifestation, creativity, and resourcefulness. And resources are already as well the ones that you already contain from a lot of the experiences you've had so far. So start looking at where have you been strong before, where have you been capable, where have you been able to do things. So it's really important to look at the Magician. And the message from the Magician is I can manifest life I desire through energy and action. And so that's what we're doing in this series is we're looking at what aspects of our life can we already have have a say in or do differently or change. So in terms of the Magician, it sort of reminds me of some of the tools that I had before I started going on my travels and some of the tools that I've used in work and how, I switched those into if you get anxious, okay, and I was anxious about some of the trips I was making, where had I done things already where I was more confident? Where had I taken trips and it worked out? And where had I succumbed to the fear? And then where had I overcome that? And often I think about, and because I'm thinking about the sort of further trips I'm going to be taking in the month, is the courage that my mum had to move from her hometown in Scotland in Buttes, the Isle of Buttes, moving over to Glasgow when she was really young, and then coming down from Glasgow to Manchester. And that was in 1963 when she was pregnant with my brother. And it was, and they were told when they were growing up, actually, the kids, that the English were like the devil and you shouldn't go there and shouldn't talk to any English people. And she really expected it to be really horrible when she got to Manchester. And actually, she was pleasantly surprised. So I'm going to check. Oh, good. I thought I had plugged that in and not put the mic on. Then I would have had a sound issue and you would have all had to learn to lip read. So where can you go next after this? Well, you can join every night at oh, it looks like we're stalling. Okay, let's pull up a signal, open the door. We've had storms, thunder and lightning, and it really affects the signal. So I think we're back online. Um, so where can we go next? Is you can do this challenge every night and join me for 8 o'clock, and hopefully all the tech works tomorrow. Trying to get lighting in here because as you can see, it's actually starting to go dark at 8:30, and it was 9:30 before, so I hadn't taken that into account. So now I've got the right lights in here, and you can follow the links on any of my videos for the Kickstart program that I'm offering. And it's got a Calendly link on there. So if you want to have 3 sessions with me to have a look at where you're at, where you want to go, and what might be getting in the way of that. But just have your journal and pen ready, and I'm going to read out the journal prompts again. So where in your life do you already feel strong and capable, and where would you like to be more empowered? And the affirmation is, I am the author of my story. And you are the author of your story, and we've all got lots of stories about what it was like growing up, and certain people in the family, and the jobs we've had, or dating stories, or stories about your manager. So we've all got a story, but thinking about moving forward is, what story do you want to create? And one of the tips that I gave in, I think it was 6 key activities I deployed when I started to make some bigger changes. And one of them is, when you go to bed at night and you lay on the bed and you're starting to feel a bit tired and you're drifting off, that's when you really start to use your mind to visualize the life that you want and what that looks like in the detail. So get into the good feelings of what feels good, where have you been empowered, where have you been strong, and then stay with that energy as you lay on the bed and start to really visualize any of the ways that you would like your life to look. Who's in it? Where are you living? Are you by the coast? Are you in the mountains? Are you in a city? Who's around you? What kind of things are you doing? What are you wearing? Really go into the detail of that. Put the color in that, put the sound in that, and keep visualizing that, what you want. And any of the challenges that come up, just imagine that you're smashing through the challenges, and this is going to help open the doors to the you leveling up in the next phase of your life. And that's what this is about. It's about inspiring all of you to just feel better, happier, lighter, and more inspired. So before I finish, I'm going to pull one of these oracle cards. Hopefully I can read it because it's very dark. So let's see what we've got. Okay. So lovely in this van when, when it rains. It was pouring down today. I just love that sound. But it was thunder and lightning as well at one stage. And, you have those moments where you like, make sure that the lightning isn't right on top of where you live or where you're staying. So happy beginning of the month. It's September. And I think I'll check out what the planets are saying. So the card that we've got is Celestite. So I'm going to need to... Right, so Celestite is there. And are you hearing messages from your angels? Have you noticed your life flows easily with divine timing, or is it working in your life? So peace is yours. You have a team of angels on your side, illuminating and orchestrating your life. They respond to your thoughts, wishes, and dreams, recording those in the divine plan. So the angel link with this, if you're like working with the angels, is Archangel Uriel. And the phrase to use is, I am at peace. Legions of angels are my personal entourage, helping me every day in every way. I am aligned with the divine plan. My ancestors direct me on the path. I'm grateful for the knowledge that they impart to me. So that's a lovely thing. So that is, if you want to buy the crystal, it's Celestine. So like I said, every night, 8 o'clock, join this. This is longer than anticipated, but for me to do something in 5 or 10 minutes, it would be something of a record, to be honest. So the topics that we're going to cover over the next few days is tomorrow, the power of small wins. Okay, so we'll have a scaling thing to go with that as well. And that's about recognizing your achievements. So we're going to go into a bit of the behavioral science on that. Day 3, shift your state, looking at neuroscience. Day 4, gratitude in action. Day 5, the pause button, which will be Friday. Day 6, play and curiosity, which is a great one. And day 7, permission to rest. And I think that falls on a Sunday. So press like and subscribe and the bell button if you want to get notifications of this again. And let's hope that all the tech works tomorrow. And thank you for those that have been listening, and let me know, leave in the comments anything that was useful out of this, one takeaway from this that you will apply in your life. And if you're signing up to the 7-day focus and challenge, brilliant. It's really cool. And yeah, check out the 30-day program. What you can do on there is just have a look at the topics and anything that calls out to you. If you do level 1, there's actually a whole 2 videos on the books in more detail that I mentioned that go along with the level 1 program, because I also recommend a book in there as well as look at the research. So a lot of this comes from evidence-based practice. So remember, this isn't about changing who you are to become anything in particular. Sometimes this is about dropping the conditioning and the ideas that you have about yourself, which aren't accurate. You know, negative self-talk, self-sabotage, and mindsets that can get in the way of you living a happier, healthier, and more fulfilled life. So thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.